The year was 2147. Humanity had finally done what many thought was impossible. They had built a ship that could travel faster than light. The United Earth Space Command called it the Resolute, and it was the pride of every nation on the planet. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Resolute and looked out at the stars. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent 30 years in space, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. They were about to leave the solar system for the first time in human history. His second in command, Lieutenant Commander Lavra Patterson, stood beside him. She was younger, maybe 40, with short brown hair and a sharp mind. She had been chosen for this mission because she never panicked, not even when everything went wrong. "All systems ready, Captain," she said. Mitchell nodded. "Take us out." The Resolute jumped into faster-than-light travel, and the stars became lines of white light. The crew cheered. They had done it. They were explorers now, going where no human had ever gone before. For 3 days, everything went well. The ship worked perfectly. The crew was happy. They mapped new star systems and sent data back to Earth. Mitchell started to believe that maybe the universe was a friendly place. He was wrong. On the 4th day, the sensors detected something strange. There were ships nearby. Many ships. And they were not human. "How many?" Mitchell asked, his voice calm even though his heart was beating fast. Patterson checked the screens. Her face went pale. 17, sir. They are surrounding us." The ships were massive, much bigger than the Resolute. They were black and shaped like triangles, with strange symbols on their sides. Mitchell had never seen anything like them. A message came through the communication system. The voice was cold and spoke in perfect English, though it sounded wrong somehow, like a machine trying to sound alive. "Human vessel. You have entered the territory of the Valorian Empire. You will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, you will be destroyed." Mitchell looked at Patterson. She looked back at him. Neither of them said anything for a moment. "Can we outrun them?" he asked quietly. "No, sir. Their ships are faster than ours." Mitchell thought about his options. He could surrender and hope for the best. But something in that cold voice told him there would be no mercy. These aliens did not see humans as equals. They saw them as insects. "Open a channel," he said. The communication officer, a young man named Chris Taylor, pressed some buttons. "Channel open, sir." Mitchell spoke clearly into the microphone. "This is Captain Ryan Mitchell of the United Earth Space Command vessel Resolute. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. We mean you no harm." The reply came quickly. "Your intentions do not matter. Your species is not recognized by the Galactic Council. You have no rights under galactic law. Surrender now or die." Mitchell felt anger rise in his chest. No rights. His crew, his ship, all of humanity, reduced to nothing by some alien council they had never heard of. "Sir," Patterson said urgently, "their weapons are charging." Mitchell made his decision in that moment. He would not let his crew die without a fight. And more importantly, he would not let this be the end of humanity's story. "Launch the data probe," he ordered. "Send everything we have recorded back to Earth. Navigation data, sensor readings, everything about these ships." Patterson nodded and gave the order. A small probe shot out from the Resolute and jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading back toward Earth. "Now," Mitchell said, "take us home." The Resolute turned and tried to run. The engines screamed as they pushed the ship to its maximum speed. But the Valorian ships were faster. Just as Patterson had said, the first shot hit them from behind. The whole ship shook, and alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. "Shields at 60%, Patterson reported. Another shot. Then another. Shields at 30%. "Hull breach on deck 7. Mitchell held onto his chair as the ship shook again. He could hear screaming from somewhere below. His crew was dying, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "Jump," he said. "Jump now. Get us into faster than light." "The engines are damaged," Taylor said, his voice shaking. "We can only make a short jump." "Do it." The Resolute jumped. For a moment, everything was quiet. The stars blurred again, and the alien ships disappeared from their sensors, but the ship was dying. Fire burned in the lower decks. The life support system was failing. The hull was cracked in a dozen places. "Where are we?" Mitchell asked. Patterson checked the navigation system. "We are in the Sol system, sir. Near Mars. Home." They had made it home. But they were not going to make it to Earth. "Set a course for Mars," Mitchell ordered. "We are going to crash land." The next few minutes were the worst of Mitchell's life. The Resolute fell toward Mars like a wounded bird. Patterson did everything she could to control the descent, but the ship was too damaged. They hit the surface hard, sliding across the red dirt for miles before finally stopping. When Mitchell woke up, he was lying in the medical bay. His left arm was broken and his head was bleeding. A young doctor named Amy Parker was standing over him. "How many?" he asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Dr. Parker's eyes were red from crying. 87 survivors, Captain. Out of 340. Mitchell closed his eyes. 253 of his crew were dead. Good men and women who had trusted him to keep them safe. Patterson appeared beside his bed. She had a bandage around her head and burns on her arms, but she was alive. "The probe made it," she said. "Earth received our data. They know everything." Mitchell nodded slowly. That was something at least. Earth would know what was coming. They would have time to prepare. "What happens now?" Dr. Parker asked. Mitchell looked up at the ceiling of the damaged medical bay. Through a crack, he could see the red sky of Mars. "Now," he said, "humanity learns that we are not alone in the universe, and that the universe wants us dead." 3 hours later, on Earth, military commanders and world leaders gathered in an underground bunker to watch the data from the probe. They saw the alien ships. They heard the cold voice demanding surrender. They watched as the Resolute was torn apart. When the recording ended, there was silence in the room. General Nathan Cole, a big man with white hair and hard eyes, was the first to speak. "Well," he said, "I guess we know what we are dealing with now." The President of the United States, a woman named Sandra Miller, looked at him. "Can we fight them?" Cole thought about the question for a long time. Then he smiled, though there was no happiness in it. "We are humans," he said. "Fighting is what we do best." And so began humanity's preparation for a war they never asked for, against an enemy they never knew existed. For survival in a galaxy that had already decided they were worthless, the Galactic Council had made a mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology, by their short history, by their small place in the universe. They did not understand what humans were capable of when their backs were against the wall. They would learn. 6 months passed since the Resolute crashed on Mars. The world had changed in ways nobody could have predicted. Old enemies became friends. Countries that had been fighting each other for decades suddenly stopped. The petty arguments of humanity seemed small now that they knew what waited for them in the darkness between stars. A transmission came to Earth from deep space. It was not from the Valorians this time. It was from something called the Galactic Council. The message played on every screen on Earth. A creature appeared that looked like nothing humans had ever seen. It was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. It called itself High Chancellor Morvith, and it spoke with a voice that sounded ancient and tired. "Species of Earth," it said. "The Galactic Council has reviewed the incident involving your vessel and the Valorian Empire. We have determined that the Valorian actions were lawful under Galactic Statute 7741B. People around the world watched in confusion. Lawful? The aliens had attacked without warning. They had killed hundreds of innocent people. Morvith continued. Under this statute, any species that has not achieved membership in the Galactic Council is classified as an unprotected resource. Your planet, your people, and everything you possess may be claimed by any member state. The Valorian Empire has filed a claim on your world. Their fleet will arrive to take possession within 18 of your months. The transmission ended. For a moment, there was silence across Earth. Then the anger came in New York City. People filled the streets shouting at the sky. In Beijing, crowds gathered outside government buildings demanding action. In London, Paris, Moscow, and 1,000 other cities, humans everywhere felt the same thing. They had been told they were worthless. They had been told they had no rights. They had been told that their planet, their home, belonged to someone else now. They did not accept it. Within 2 weeks, the United Earth Defense Initiative was formed. Every nation on Earth contributed soldiers, scientists, money, and resources. Differences in language, culture, and history meant nothing anymore. There was only one thing that mattered now: survival. General Nathan Cole was chosen to lead the military effort. He was 70 years old, but his mind was still sharp and his will was iron. He had fought in 3 wars and had never lost a battle. Now he faced the greatest challenge of his life. His chief science advisor was Dr. Megan Torres, a physicist from California who had spent her career studying theoretical energy systems. She was only 35, young for such an important position, but she was brilliant. More importantly, she believed that humans could catch up to alien technology if they worked hard enough. The first meeting of the Defense Initiative took place in an underground base beneath the Swiss Alps. Cole stood at the front of the room, looking at the faces of generals, scientists, and leaders from every corner of the world. "We have 18 months," he said. "That is not much time, but it will have to be enough." A general from Russia raised his hand. "Sir, we have seen their ships. They are centuries ahead of us. How can we possibly fight them?" Cole nodded. "That is a fair question, Dr. Torres." Megan Torres stood up and walked to a large screen. She pressed a button and images from the Resolute's data probe appeared. "These are scans of Valorian weapons and shields," she said. "When I first looked at this data, I thought the same thing. They are too advanced. We cannot compete." She paused. Then I looked closer. "Their technology is powerful, yes, but it is also old. They have been using the same basic designs for thousands of years. They have stopped trying to improve. They think they do not need to." She changed the image. Now it showed a complex diagram that most people in the room could not understand. We, on the other hand, have been improving our technology every single day. In the last 100 years, we went from horses and candles to nuclear power and spacecraft. We adapt faster than any species in this galaxy. That is our advantage. Cole stepped forward again. Dr. Torres and her team will work on weapons and defenses. The rest of us will build ships and train soldiers. We will use everything we have. Every factory, every laboratory, every person who can hold a tool or a gun. This is not a war we can fight halfway. It is all or nothing. Secretary General Daniel Price, the leader of the United Earth government, gave a speech that night. Billions of people watched. "They believe we are weak because we are young," he said. "They believe we will fall because we are alone. But they have made a terrible mistake. They have given humanity something it has never had before. A common enemy. And when humans unite against a common enemy, we do not fall. We rise." The work began the next day. In secret shipyards, hidden beneath the oceans and inside asteroids. Construction crews worked around the clock. They did not build copies of alien ships. They built something new, something designed by human minds for human hands. Captain Laura Patterson, who had survived the Resolute disaster, was promoted and given command of the first new vessel. It was called the Defiant, and it was the most advanced ship ever built by human hands. Patterson chose her crew carefully. Every single person had lost someone to the Valorians or their attacks on human outposts. They had a reason to fight. Among the crew was a young pilot named Ben Harrison. He was 28 years old and came from a small town in Texas. 6 months ago, his entire family had been killed when the Valorians destroyed a research station on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. His parents, his sister, his grandmother, all gone in a single attack. Ben had volunteered for the most dangerous position in the fleet, frontline fighter pilot. When the time came, he would fly a small ship straight at the enemy. The survival rate for such missions was very low, but Ben did not care. He wanted to make the Valorians pay for what they had done. In another part of the world, Commander Kyle Anderson ran the intelligence division. His job was to spy on the enemy and learn their plans. Using captured alien communication equipment, his team had managed to intercept Valorian messages. "They think we are doing nothing," Kyle told General Cole one night. "They are laughing at us. They call us dirt dwellers and say we will surrender the moment their fleet arrives." Cole smiled. "Good. Let them think that. The more they underestimate us, the bigger the surprise will be." As the months passed, the fleet grew. 47 ships in total, each one armed with weapons that Dr. Torres and her team had invented using principles the Valorians had abandoned as too dangerous long ago. The aliens had stopped taking risks centuries ago. Humans had never stopped. Dr. Torres worked 20 hours a day, sleeping only when her body gave out. She pushed her team to their limits and beyond. She told them that every hour they wasted was an hour the Valorians would use to get closer. "We are not just building weapons," she said during one late-night meeting. "We are building hope. If we fail, humanity dies. If we succeed, we show the galaxy that Earth is not a resource to be taken. It is a home to be defended." 1 year into the preparation, General Cole gathered his top commanders for a briefing. "The Valorian fleet is on schedule," he said. 300 warships. More than enough to destroy any normal planet. He looked around the room at the tired, determined faces. "But we are not a normal planet. We are Earth. We are humans. And in 6 months, we are going to show the Valorian Empire and the Galactic Council exactly what that means." The room was silent for a moment. Then Captain Patterson spoke. "Sir, what if we fail?" Cole looked at her with hard eyes. "Then we take as many of them with us as we can. But I do not plan on failing, Captain. I plan on winning. And then I plan on making sure nobody in this galaxy ever thinks about attacking Earth again." The preparation continued. The fleet trained. The scientists invented. And humanity waited for the storm that was coming. They were scared. They were angry. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were not beaten. Not yet. Not ever. For 16 months, Earth went silent. The Galactic Council had monitoring stations spread across the galaxy. They watched thousands of worlds, tracking the rise and fall of civilizations. When they pointed their sensors at Earth, they saw nothing unusual. No massive ship launches. No powerful transmissions. Just the quiet hum of a primitive world going about its daily business. "Hi." Chancellor Morvith reviewed the reports from his chamber on the Council home world. The ancient being had seen countless species receive the news that they were marked for conquest. Some had tried to run. Some had tried to fight. All had failed. Humanity, it seemed, had chosen a different path. They had simply given up, The humans appear to be doing nothing, one of his advisors told him. Their communications suggest they are arguing among themselves about how to respond. Typical primitive behavior. Morvith nodded slowly. They have accepted their fate. It is for the best. The Valorian Empire will be merciful to those who do not resist. The advisor hesitated. Some of our analysts believe the silence is suspicious. They think the humans may be hiding something. Morvith waved his hand dismissively. What could they possibly be hiding? They discovered faster than light travel 3 years ago. They have no weapons capable of threatening a council member state. They are children playing at space exploration. The advisor bowed and left. Morvith was wrong. Earth was not doing nothing. Earth was preparing for war in ways the council could not imagine. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains of North America, Dr. Megan Torres worked in a laboratory that officially did not exist. Hundreds of scientists surrounded her, each one focused on a different piece of the puzzle. They had taken the alien technology captured from the Resolute and studied every part of it. What they found surprised them. The Valorians are lazy, Torres told General Cole during a secure video call. Their technology is advanced, but they have not improved it in thousands of years. They found something that worked and stopped trying to make it better. Can we use that? Cole asked. Torres smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Their shields are designed to stop conventional galactic weapons. Energy beams, plasma bursts, things like that. But we have found a frequency they never considered. Because they abandoned research on it centuries ago. Why did they abandon it? Because it is unstable. Dangerous. It could explode in your face if you do not control it perfectly. Torres leaned forward. But we are humans. We have been working with dangerous, unstable things since we discovered fire. We know how to control chaos. The weapon she developed was called the pulse cannon. It fired a concentrated burst of energy at a frequency that passed through Valorian shields like they were not there. In tests, a single shot from a pulse cannon destroyed targets that would have taken dozens of conventional hits. Meanwhile, in shipyards hidden beneath the Atlantic Ocean, the human fleet took shape. Workers labored in 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They did not complain. They did not ask for rest. They knew what was at stake. Captain Laura Patterson visited the shipyard every week to check on the progress of the Defiant. Each time, she was amazed by how much had changed. The ship was beautiful in a way that alien vessels were not. It had curves and angles that felt right, that felt human. It was built for war, yes, but it was also built with pride. She is almost ready, the chief engineer told Patterson. Another month, maybe 2. Patterson ran her hand along the hull of the ship. Make it 1 month. We are running out of time. In another part of the solar system, hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid between Mars and Jupiter, Lieutenant Ben Harrison trained for combat. The training was brutal. Pilots flew simulated missions for 12 hours straight, facing impossible odds over and over until their reflexes were perfect. Many washed out. Some broke down crying. A few had to be taken to medical facilities for exhaustion. Ben never broke. He never complained. He just flew again and again, getting better with every mission. His instructor, a tough woman named Captain Rachel Kim, pulled him aside one day. "You are one of the best pilots I have ever seen," she said. "But you are also one of the angriest. That anger will help you in battle, but it could also get you killed." Ben looked at her with cold eyes. "I am not angry, Captain. I am focused." Kim shook her head. "I know you lost your family. I know you want revenge. But if you go into battle thinking only about revenge, you will make mistakes. You will take risks you should not take. With respect, Captain, I did not join this fleet to stay safe. I joined to hurt the enemy as much as possible. If that means dying, I am fine with that." Kim stared at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. Just try to take a few of them with you before you go. Ben almost smiled. Almost back on Earth, Secretary General Daniel Price made regular speeches to keep public morale high. He could not tell people about the secret fleet or the new weapons. That information was too valuable to risk leaking. Instead, he talked about hope and determination. "We are humans," he said in one speech, broadcast to every corner of the planet. "We have faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, world wars. Every time, people said we were finished. Every time, we proved them wrong. This is just another challenge, and we will overcome it like we have overcome everything else." People believed him. They had to. The alternative was despair. Commander Kyle Anderson and his intelligence team continued to monitor Valorian communications. Most of it was routine, military messages about supply lines and troop movements. But occasionally, they intercepted something interesting. "The Valorians are overconfident," Kyle reported to General Cole. "They've not even increased the size of their invasion fleet. They still think 300 ships will be enough." 300 ships is still a lot, Cole said. "Yes, sir. But it is not overwhelming. If we had to face 1,000 ships, we would have no chance. Against 300, we might actually win." Cole nodded slowly. "Keep listening. Tell me immediately if anything changes." As the final weeks approached, the human fleet gathered in secret. 47 ships, hidden in the asteroid belt, powered down to avoid detection. Captain Patterson stood on the bridge of the Defiant and looked at the stars. She thought about the Resolute. She thought about Captain Mitchell, who was still recovering from his injuries on Mars. She thought about the 253 crew members who had died in the first encounter with the Valorians. This time would be different, thought Lieutenant. Ben Harrison sat in his fighter, running through pre-flight checks for the 100th time. His ship was small and fast, designed for close combat. It had 2 pulse cannons and enough fuel for maybe an hour of fighting. After that, he would either be dead or victorious. He looked at a small photograph attached to his control panel. It showed his family, taken at his sister's birthday party 2 years ago. Everyone was smiling. His mother was holding a cake. His father had his arm around his grandmother, all gone now. Because of the Valorians, Ben kissed his fingers and touched the photograph. "This is for you," he whispered. General Cole made one final address. "To the fleet before the battle. The enemy is coming," he said. "They expect to find a helpless world waiting to be conquered. They expect us to surrender or die without a fight. They expect this to be easy." His voice hardened. "We are going to show them just how wrong they are. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone who's counting on us to defend our home. Today, we do not fight for glory or conquest. We fight for survival. And we will not lose." The fleet powered up their engines and waited. Somewhere in the darkness of space, 300 Valorian warships were approaching. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The Battle of Earth was about to begin. The Valorian invasion fleet entered the Sol system on March 15th, 2149. 300 warships arranged in perfect formation, their black hulls gleaming in the light of the distant sun. Each ship was massive, carrying enough firepower to level a city in seconds. Fleetmaster Kethrak stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror. He was a tall Valorian with dark blue scales and eyes that had seen 1,000 worlds fall. This mission was supposed to be simple. Arrive at Earth, destroy any resistance, and claim the planet for the Empire. He expected it to take 3 days at most. "Scan the system," he ordered. "Show me their defenses." His sensors officer worked the controls. A moment later, confusion crossed his reptilian face. "Fleetmaster, I am detecting very little." A few old satellites. Some primitive space stations. No military vessels in range. Ketherick hissed with amusement. They have given up. The Dirk Dwellers have accepted their fate. He turned to his communications officer. Broadcast the surrender terms. Tell them they have 1 hour to comply. The message was sent. Earth received it but did not respond. 1 hour passed. Then 2. No response, Fleet Master. The communications officer reported. Ketherick felt a flicker of annoyance. Fine. They wish to die with their mouths shut. It makes no difference. All ships advance to Earth orbit. Prepare weapons for planetary bombardment. The Valorian fleet moved forward like a dark cloud spreading across the sky. They passed Mars. They passed the moon. Earth grew larger on their screens. A beautiful blue and green world that would soon belong to the Empire. Then the Ford. Scouts vanished. Ketherick straightened in his chair. What happened? The sensors officer frantically checked his readings. Unknown, Fleet Master. Scout ships 7 and 12 have disappeared from our sensors. No distress signals. No weapons fire detected. Find them. Before the sensors officer could respond, 3 more ships vanished. Then 5 more. The Valorian fleet began to slow down, uncertainty spreading through the ranks. Fleet Master, a nervous voice said. Something is hunting us. Ketherick slammed his fist on his chair. Show me what it is. That was when the human fleet revealed itself. They came out of the asteroid belt like ghosts, 47 ships emerging from the darkness. They were smaller than the Valorian vessels, faster and more agile. And they were armed with weapons the Valorians had never seen before. Captain Laura Patterson stood on the bridge of the Defiant, her eyes locked on the enemy fleet. This was the moment they had been preparing for. 80 months of work, sacrifice, and hope. It all came down to this. All ships, she said into her communication system. This is Admiral Patterson. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. And remember what they did to the Resolute. She paused. Open fire. The Defiant's pulse cannons fired first. The energy burst crossed the distance between the fleets in an instant and struck a Valorian cruiser. The ship's shields flickered uselessly as the blast passed right through them. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the void. Across the human fleet, every ship fired at once. The effect was devastating. Ketherick watched in horror as ship after ship exploded around him. His shields, which had protected Valorian vessels for 10,000 years, did nothing. The human weapons cut through them like they were made of paper. Impossible, he whispered in the first 15 minutes of battle. The humans destroyed 42 Valorian ships. The perfect formation of the invasion fleet broke apart as captains panicked and tried to regroup. Return fire. Ketherick screamed. Destroy them. The Valorians finally began to fight back. Their weapons were powerful, and they had numbers on their side. A human destroyer took a direct hit and broke in half. A frigate's engines exploded, sending it spinning into the void. But the humans did not stop. They did not retreat. They kept coming. Lieutenant Ben Harrison flew his fighter through the chaos of battle, weaving between explosions and debris. His squadron had one mission: destroy the Valorian command carrier. Without Ketherick's leadership, the enemy fleet would fall into confusion. Stay tight, his squadron leader ordered. We go in fast and hit them hard. There were 12 fighters in the squadron. By the time they reached the command carrier, only 5 remained. Ben did not think about the pilots who had died. He did not think about anything except the target in front of him. The command carrier was enormous, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. Its guns tracked the approaching fighters and opened fire. Another fighter exploded on Ben's left. Then another on his right. He was alone now, the last survivor of his squadron. The command carrier filled his entire view. He could see the bridge, could almost imagine Kethrak standing there. Watching him approach, Ben armed his pulse cannons and fired everything he had. The shots punched through the carrier's shields and tore into its hull. Explosions rippled across the massive ship. But it was not enough. The carrier was too big, too heavily armored. Ben made a decision. He accelerated, pushing his fighter to maximum speed. Warning alarms screamed in his cockpit. The carrier's guns tracked them, but he was moving too fast for them to lock on. At the last second, Ben ejected from his fighter. His small body shot out into space, protected only by his suit. The fighter slammed into the carrier's bridge at full speed. The explosion was massive, tearing through the command center and killing everyone inside, including Fleet Master Kethrak. Ben floated in the void, watching the carrier burn. His suit's emergency beacon activated, but he did not know if anyone would come for him. He did not care. He had done what he came to do. "That was for my family," he said quietly. Back on the Defiant, Captain Patterson saw the command carrier explode. She felt a fierce joy rise in her chest. "The enemy flagship is destroyed," she announced. "All ships, press the attack." Without their leader, the Valorians fell into disarray. Some ships tried to flee. Others fought on blindly, their shots wild and unfocused. The humans took full advantage. The battle lasted 11 hours in total. By the end, the Valorian invasion fleet had been reduced from 300 ships to 63. Most of those were too damaged to move, their crews dying slowly as life support failed. The human fleet had lost 19 vessels and over 3,000 lives. Every loss was felt deeply. Every death was a tragedy. But Earth remained free. Search and rescue teams spread out across the battlefield, looking for survivors. They found Lieutenant Ben Harrison floating near the wreckage of the Valorian command carrier. He was unconscious, his suit damaged, but alive. When he woke up in the medical bay of the Defiant, Captain Patterson was standing beside his bed. "You are either the bravest pilot I have ever seen," she said, "or the craziest." Ben managed a weak smile. "Maybe both. You destroyed the enemy flagship. You probably saved thousands of lives." She paused. "You are going to receive every medal we have." Ben looked at her with tired eyes. "I did not do it for medals. I did it because they took everything from me. And I wanted them to know that we are not the helpless primitives they thought we were." Patterson nodded slowly. "They know now. The whole galaxy will know soon." Outside the ship, the wreckage of the Valorian fleet drifted silently through space. It was a graveyard now, a monument to the arrogance of those who had underestimated humanity. On Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. People gathered in the streets, crying and laughing and hugging strangers. They had been told they were nothing. They had been told they would fall. Instead, they had won the most important battle in human history. General Nathan Cole stood in the command center, watching the reports come in. He allowed himself a small smile. "Sir," an aide said, "what do we do now?" Cole turned to look at the young man. "Now we send a message. To the Valorians. To the Galactic Council. To everyone out there who thought they could take what is ours." He straightened his shoulders. "We tell them that Earth is not for sale, and anyone who tries to take it will meet the same fate as the fleet that lies in ruins around our world. The Battle of Earth was over, but humanity's story in the galaxy was just beginning." News of the Battle of Earth traveled faster than anyone expected. Within hours, every major civilization in the galaxy knew what had happened. A primitive species, one that had only discovered faster than light travel 3 years ago, had destroyed one of the most powerful military forces in the known universe. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. High Chancellor Morvith stood before the assembled representatives of over 400 spacefaring civilizations. He was old, older than most beings in the galaxy, but he had never felt as small as he did in this moment. "This is impossible," the Valorian ambassador shouted. His scales had turned pale with rage and fear. The humans cheated somehow. They must have had help from another council member. "There is no evidence of that," a representative from the Calthine Federation said calmly. "Our intelligence suggests the humans developed their weapons independently, using technology we abandoned as too dangerous centuries ago. Then we must retaliate," the Valorian ambassador demanded. "We must send a larger fleet and crush them once and for all." Morvith raised his hand for silence. "And how large would that fleet need to be? The humans destroyed 300 of your ships with 47 of their own. Would 500 be enough? 1,000? How many lives are you willing to spend on a planet that has already proven it can defend itself?" The chamber fell quiet. Morvith continued. "The humans have made their position clear. They are not the helpless primitives we assumed them to be. They are warriors. They adapt. They fight with a ferocity we have not seen in millennia." A transmission request appeared on the main screen. It was coming from Earth. "The humans wish to address the council," an aide announced. Morvith hesitated for a moment. Then he nodded. "Let them speak." The screen flickered, and Secretary General Daniel Price appeared. He was standing in front of a window that showed the reconstruction efforts in New York City. Behind him, cranes lifted steel beams, and workers swarmed over half-finished buildings. "Members of the Galactic Council," Price said, "we did not seek this conflict. We did not ask to be classified as resources to be exploited. We were simply exploring the universe, hoping to find friends among the stars." His expression hardened slightly. "Instead, we found enemies. We found a galaxy that looked at us and saw only weakness to be exploited. You decided we had no rights. You decided our planet could be claimed by anyone strong enough to take it." Price stepped closer to the camera. "You were wrong, and the wreckage floating around our world proves it." The council chamber was completely silent. "But we are not here to declare war," Price continued. "We are not interested in revenge or conquest. We have seen enough death. We have buried enough friends." He paused. "Earth extends an offer of peaceful contact to any civilization willing to treat us as equals. We wish to trade. We wish to learn. We wish to share what we know and discover what others can teach us." His voice grew cold. "To those who are not willing to treat us as equals, we offer a warning. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive unprovoked aggression. We would prefer to be your friends. But if you force us to be your enemies, you will regret it." The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one in the council chamber moved. Then the representative from the Calthine Federation stood up. "My people wish to open diplomatic relations with Earth. They have proven themselves worthy of respect." One by one, other representatives rose. The Thorani Collective, the Merchants of Vega Prime, the Free Worlds of Orion. Within an hour, over 50 civilizations had requested direct contact with Earth. Bypassing the Galactic Council entirely, Morvith watched it all happen with a mixture of shock and something that might have been admiration. In all his thousands of years, he had never seen anything like this. A species rising from nothing to challenge the established order of the galaxy. The Valorian Empire withdrew from the council chamber in disgrace. Their fleet had been destroyed. Their reputation had been shattered. They would spend the next century rebuilding, and they would never again threaten Earth. On Mars, Captain Ryan Mitchell watched the news from his hospital bed. He had finally recovered enough to sit up, though his left arm still ached where it had been broken. Beside him, Dr. Amy Parker was smiling for the first time since the crash. "We did it," she said. "We actually did it." Mitchell nodded slowly. He thought about the crew members who had died on the Resolute. He thought about the families who would never see their loved ones again. The victory was sweet, but it came at a terrible cost. The ones we lost made this possible, he said quietly. We need to make sure their sacrifice meant something. We need to build a better future. Back on Earth, the celebrations continued for days. People danced in the streets. Strangers embraced. For the first time in human history, the entire planet felt like one family. Captain Laura Patterson was promoted to admiral and given command of humanity's growing fleet. She accepted the position with the same calm determination she had shown throughout her career. We have proven we can defend ourselves, she said during her acceptance speech. Now we must prove we can be part of something larger. The galaxy is watching. Let us show them who we are. Dr. Megan Torres was awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics, Chemistry, and Peace, an unprecedented honor. She used her acceptance speech to honor the scientists and engineers who had worked alongside her. This was not my achievement alone, she said. It belongs to every person who worked through sleepless nights, who solved impossible problems, who refused to give up when everything seemed hopeless. We did this together. General Nathan Cole retired to a small ranch in Montana. He had done his part. Now it was time for younger people to lead humanity into the future. But he remained a consultant to Earth Command, offering advice whenever it was needed. You can take the soldier out of the army, he joked to a visiting reporter. But you cannot take the army out of the soldier. Lieutenant Ben Harrison spent 3 months recovering from his injuries. The ejection from his fighter had broken several bones and damaged his lungs. But he was alive, and that was more than he had expected. The Medal of Honor ceremony was held in Washington, D.C., in front of a crowd of thousands. Secretary General Price himself placed the medal around Ben's neck. You represent the best of humanity, Price said. Your courage saved countless lives and helped secure our future as a free people. Ben looked out at the crowd. He saw people of every color, every background, every nation. They were all cheering for him, but he knew they were also cheering for themselves. For humanity. For Earth. A reporter caught him after the ceremony. Lieutenant Harrison, what do you plan to do next? Ben thought about the question for a moment. He thought about his family, lost forever. He thought about the stars, still full of mysteries and dangers. He thought about everything humanity had been through and everything that still lay ahead. I am going back to space, he said finally. There is a whole galaxy out there, and somebody needs to show them what humans are made of. The reporter smiled. Do you have a message for the Galactic Council? Ben looked directly into the camera. His eyes were calm but fierce. We were supposed to be easy prey. We were supposed to surrender or die. Instead, we fought back. We won. And this is just the beginning. He paused. The Galactic Council never expected Earth to strike back. That was their mistake. They underestimated us because we were young, because we were small, because we had only taken our first steps into the universe. A slight smile crossed his face. They will not make that mistake again. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched the young human pilot speak his final words. Some felt fear. Some felt curiosity. Some felt hope. But all of them understood one thing. The universe had changed. Humanity had arrived. And nothing would ever be the same again. In the years that followed, Earth grew stronger. More ships were built. More alliances were formed. Humans spread across the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and traders and diplomats. They never forgot where they came from. They never forgot the sacrifice of those who had died defending their home. And they never stopped pushing forward, reaching for new horizons, chasing new dreams, because that was what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They rose. And when the universe tried to push them down, they pushed back harder. The Galactic Council learned that lesson well, and they made sure to pass it on to future generations. Never underestimate humanity. Never corner them. Never give them a reason to fight, because when humans fight, they fight to win, and they never, ever give up.